Hello and welcome to another Harsh Noise Gear review. I am here today with the East Beast from Cre8Audio. Now, this synthesizer is a subtractive synthesis, East Coast style semi-modular synthesizer that has a bunch of different little modules in it that are all hardwired connected in the back. But you can override the connections with the patch bay. You can also connect external gear with the patch bay. It also has a little keyboard with a built-in sequencer that's really robust and a bunch of built-in things. It is really affordable. It is only, I think, like $250. It can go in a modular rack, or it can be in this little desktop unit, like I have here. So first I'm going to go, what I'm going to do in this video today is first I'm going to go over the features of this thing. Then I'm going to talk about a way to use it, to abuse and use and utilize the filter in fun noise ways. And also how to do a few fun other things for using this thing for making noise and like harsher sounds, because it's really good for that, and this filter is fantastic. So let's get started. So I want to first start with the features, and I want to talk about each of the modules first, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 modules here, and then there's the sequencer and the keyboard and the patch bay. So the first module is the oscillator, which this is where the sound comes from. This is this creates the tone that you hear. It is and it has 4 knobs: the fine tune to adjust the pitch, glide to adjust the like portamento, the slide from one note to the next, versus here how the pitch kind of bends all the way up when I turn up the glide. FM is frequency modulation, and it is standard routed to the LFO. And then we have a width mod, which only affects when you have a square wave oscillators selected. And there's a bunch of different oscillator shapes that you can select that are different shapes of the wave. And you do that by holding one of the 2 function buttons. There's either blue function or green function. And so you hold green function and change the oscillator type from noise, sine, triangle, sawtooth, square, and then you start getting mixes. My personal favorite is the sawtooth square, because it has the roughness of the sawtooth with a little bit of the width control. But I also really like this one with the sine wave and then you bring in the square with the width. Very cool sounding. That's the oscillator. Next up we have the filter, and the filter is so the oscillator passes the signal that is hardwired to go from the oscillator into the filter, but you can override this. And the filter filters out the sounds based on a different filter type. We're going to start with a low pass, and band pass, high pass. Banded low. This one's cool. This one's like a reverse band. And then we have the banded high pass. I like this one the most. And then we have the resonance and the filter mod. So this is the cutoff point with the big knob. And then the filter mod is hardwired to the envelope, but we can change that. So we can change that with the patch bay. We'll get into that. And then resonance. And yeah, it does self-oscillate. Well, it doesn't really self-oscillate. It just kind of gets nasty and really loud with the resonance. Yeah. Moving on, the envelope. The envelope affects... I'm going to skip the envelope. We're going to get back to it. There's the volume, which is the amplifier, and the LFO, which is a low-frequency oscillator. Now, the amplifier controls the volume, and the envelope it controls the shape of the sound. It is hardwired to the amp and to the filter through the filter mod knob, so that determines the amount of how much the envelope affects the filter. Okay, so the signal goes from here, through here, out through here, and the volume is affected by this, and the filter can be affected through this knob, through this, onto this. The LFO is hardwired to the frequency modulation of the oscillator, but can be wired to anything. It is a sine wave positive negative LFO, and I think it's kind of shitty and useless on this synth compared to all the rest of the synth design in this thing, because there's no LFO in, there's no way to clock that LFO. It's literally just like, it has like this range, it has like this range where it's like real slow, like really slow, or a little faster, but then it has a range button. Where is that? Here it is. So I can get into audio rate manipulation with it. But otherwise, I think the LFO on this is like kind of useless because you can't clock it. So it's not good for like techno. It's good for like making weird noise, which is cool. You can definitely patch it to a bunch of stuff really easily. And like, but we'll get into that. So those are the 5 modules, and that's pretty much it. There's a few hardwired connections, but you can override them. And then it has the sequencer and the keyboard. And the keyboard has up and down octave buttons here. And it can get really high. And really low. And the filter and the oscillator have random modes that you can toggle on. So I'm going to toggle on the random oscillator mode with the blue button. So now every time I hit a new note, it changes the oscillator type. However, in random mode, it does not select noise or the 2 mixed oscillator types. It only toggles between the 4. Still fun if you like to make something a little more varied. There is also the random filter type, which works the same way. And, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26 27 28 29 30 31 32 33 34 35 36 37 38 39 40 41 42 43 44 45 46 47 48 49 50 51 52 53 54 55 56 57 58 59 60 61 62 63 64 65 66 67 68 69 70 71 72 73 74 75 76 77 78 79 80 81 82 83 84 85 86 87 88 89 90 91 92 93 94 95 96 97 98 99 100 101 102 103 104 105 106 107 108 109 110 111 112 113 114 115 116 117 118 119 120 121 122 123 124 125 126 127 128 129 130 131 132 133 134 135 136 137 138 139 140 141 142 143 144 145 146 147 148 149 150 151 152 153 154 155 156 157 158 159 160 turn both on. Yeah, pretty cool. What did I just hit? Sometimes you gotta be careful what you hit. There we go. All right, and then what's really cool is the sequencer, because the sequencer can do a bunch of stuff. It can have the envelope retrigger. It can be arpeggiator. It has an arpeggiator mode where you hold down stuff. Here, I'll show you. Go into sequencer mode, turn off, clear it, turn off random. Where is that? Not those, not those. Anywho, sometimes synthesizers get the best of you. Anywho, we gotta pick a clock source. Now, one of the things I like for this is it has 4 clock sources. Either its own tap in that you can tap to create a clock, so we'll select that one. And you just input your sequence. Very easy, very fun. Yeah, very simple. Clear it. What's really cool is you can generate a sequence. So if you're like, I don't know what to play, you can just generate a random sequence. Yeah. And you can modify that sequence to have rest sometimes. So it's got, and then there's another sequencer mode that introduces like 10% random notes new into the sequence, and so you can completely like generate a new tone, generate new sequences at the push of a button, randomize what's playing, randomize the filter, randomize that. So now it's like all over the place. But there's a clock mode. There's a clock mode that I really like as well. So that's the tap in clock. But then there's MIDI clock, clock in, or a stutter clock that they have built in, which is the 4th clock here. I've memorized all these different light combinations to use this thing because this is the only real display, this 4 light interface, which takes a bit of learning curve and a bit of memorizing button light combinations, but like you eventually learn how to scroll through them and try out the different sounds. So we've got random stuttering clock, right? Yeah, here we go. So let's start the sequencer. So the random stuttering clock is 10% on beat, 90% random. And if you're wondering what these lights are, the lights are plugged into the envelope out, and these lights are from Moth Hunter Mods. They're known as the CV Bling string. And right now they're just connected up to the envelope. So they visually light up based on the CV information going into them. Yeah. Pretty cool. So if I was to stick them in the LFO, yeah. I just wanted to point that out since I've been using those. Okay, that's the sequencer, that's all that. The patch bay has ins and outs for most of the things I've already mentioned. It has ins and outs for these things, but not some of the things that I would hope it would have, like any sort of control for the LFO other than the knob. So the LFO can't be used in like rhythmic ways other than like polyrhythms, which is fine if you are fine with that. What else? I'm gonna turn that off and that off. Overall, before I get into noise patching with this thing, this thing is really, it has all the parts. It is really solid, and it's executed in a really interesting way, and it has a few really bizarre noise techniques that work really well, and then a few that kind of miss, and a few that kind of are interesting and I would have done differently, like this multifunction. It has a multifunction output, which is really cool, and I'm going to show you exactly what that does, because the multifunction outputs different things depending on what you choose in a menu. So right now, and I'm using Analog Solutions CV LED things. So right now we have a triangle wave that is clockable. It's a clockable triangle wave. So let's get a normal clock in. And then we can divide this LFO here. Now it's a little faster. Now it's way faster. Yeah, so now check this out. Start the sequencer again and mess with the triangle LFO. Yeah, pretty fun. So that's the triangle, and then we have another multifunction function, another function on the multifunction, which is random CV. Which is great, especially if you want to make noise, because check this out, we're going to throw it into pitch. We're going to increase the clock on this. Yeah, super fun. The last thing on here is well, there's four things. The last one is a decay. That's all it is. A long ass decay, and you can set the length to be really long, really short. Yeah, and that's the third thing in the multifunction. The fourth thing is a MIDI CC out for this slot there. Shh. Thank you. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is getting into some noise stuff, because that's why we're all here. You can see, you can get a review of what I've said so far in most other videos about this. I assume they go over all the things, but let's try actually doing some noise patching with it. And I'm going to take the filter out which is the output of the filter, and I'm going to run it into the width mod. Not that interesting, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to start talking about how juicy and wild this filter can get, and we're going to do lots of stuff with it. First, I want to show you directly filter out into filter mod. Filter out into filter in doesn't do anything, but filter out into filter mod, we are now using the output of the filter to modify the filter based on this knob. So this does nothing, but we add more filter mod in, and we start to find sweet spots, like dissonant harmonic sweet spots. And with more resonance, the filter can get squelchier and wetter and weirder. Yeah, there we go. Oh my god, it's so pretty. Okay, so now's going to be a fun time to turn on the death metal, because over here I've got a death metal distortion that I have this running through, but I haven't turned on yet, and we're going to do it because this is the Harsh Noise gear review, and well, gorgeous. I love that sound. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to modify the filter in crazy awesome ways. So what we're going to do is this right here is the electro-lobotomy like cut up mixer, and it has 4 inputs and 1 output, and it is a passive mixer with attenuator, volume knobs, on-off switches, and temporary ons. It is running into the Super Fuzz from Behringer, the SF300, which is a fuzz or a clean boost. We're using it in clean boost mode, and we're going to turn down the gain a little bit, and we're going to run it into the filter mod, and this is going to be our setup for the next few minutes. There's nothing going in, so what we're going to do is first we're going to take the output of the filter and run it into our first input, this channel right here. So let's change up our sound a little bit. Let's get a different filter. Alright, so check this out. We can attenuate this down. Right? It's because this is now a little mixer for us. Let's turn on the super fuzz though. Give it some gain. Wild sounding. All right. But let's start mixing some stuff in. I'm going to turn that off. So there's nothing going in yet. Let's pull out some LFOs. Let's pull out that that multifunction. What do we got going on in here? Let's make it into the LFO again. And then we're going to run that in. You can see that. We got that clocked LFO. We're going to run that in. Turn that on, see what that sounds like. Right? Okay, now let's mix them. And you can find a nice balance between the two. Let's get our let's pull our let's see, our other our LFO, this one right here. Let's pull that out and throw that in at like an audio rate. Yeah. Listen to that. Oh, cool. Cool. Oh, that's cool. Let's mix it. So now we're mixing all three of these signals. And let's turn on the super fuzz. Now that's just in boost mode. Let's try the fuzz. Ooh. Ooh. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's gorgeous. that sounds gorgeous. Let's try it with the distortion. So cool. Let's get that envelope back in there. I'm going to actually take out the decorative envelope light and throw in a real envelope into the mix. So let's see. Yeah, it looks like an envelope to me. Let's throw it in there. Turn it on. And let's bring back the death metal and the fuzz. Cool, that is so much fun. I think that's all I wanted to show with like the filter manipulation with like a little mixer or something. Electro Lobotomy sells these. They also sell a CV version. I have the 1/4-inch version with a bunch of adapters plugged into it. The other thing I want to show is another Electro Lobotomy thing. Actually, this is the Hadron Collider, and I just reviewed this last week. And I'm gonna plug it into some things. We're gonna try using a noise synth as an oscillator. So instead of instead of these dulcet tones coming from this oscillator, we're going to instead plug this noise synth into the filter. So now the keyboard doesn't change anything, it just gates it. So let's just hold it. Right, so now we have this going through our filter. Let's turn off our filter nonsense. And this is just a noise synth. Let's get that filter going again. Let's see. Let's turn that up, turn that up. Turn that up. Yeah, it can sound horrible. Wow. Love that. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely horrible. The last thing I want to do is actually not use this, but I want to apply what we've learned to a techno track. Techno Time. So I just plugged in a MIDI clock from my drum machine. Let's go to listen. Turn on the distortion on the drum machine. Yeah. Okay. Let's program a pattern into it. Let's generate a random pattern. Change that multifunction clock there. so much fun. Yeah. Okay. I think that's all I wanted to show with this. I think I'm going to conclude it now. Yeah, the East Beast is a really fun, inexpensive way to get into semi-modular synthesis or modular synthesis with like a good starter pack of tools that are pretty like interesting. Like the envelope is snappy and percussive, the oscillators are like loud and deep and can have some cool shapes. The filter is absolutely phenomenal. I like can't say enough nice things about the filter, the different filter modes, how squelchy and like rainy and weird it gets. I didn't even like here, let's try something. Come here, stop that. Just do this. Yeah, sounds gross. Anywho, in conclusion, it's a really cool synth. I think that it's a great place to start for semi-modular, a great place to start for modular. It's inexpensive. It sounds fantastic. The sequencer has a bunch of cool features. It is kind of limited in a few ways. The multifunction, I wish it had separate outputs for all these fun things that it can do. The LFO, I wish it had a way to control it other than the knob and the bent and the range. Other than that, this thing is really cool, and I highly suggest it if you're trying to get into a synthesizer. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.